San Diego real estate is expensive to say the least. So today let's talk about how to actually find a deal in this market. And let's be real here. If you're relying on Zillow, Redfin, or your realtor to hand you one, good luck. In a high price market like San Diego, deals don't just show up gift wrapped. You gotta go out and you gotta find them. And if you're waiting for the perfect house at the perfect price with zero competition, you might be house hunting forever. Here's the truth. A deal is going to come in the form of a fixer. But knowing how to identify one and at the same time not get into a project that is way over your head is a bit of a skill. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 key signs to help you identify a hidden opportunity, what to do when you find one, and how to make sure you don't regret your purchase. This isn't theory. This is what the top investors and I look for whenever we drive through neighborhoods. If you don't know me yet, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego realtor, and I've been helping buyers find smart, strategic purchases since 2004. And if you're looking for a deal in this market, here's how you do it. Real quick, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please consider doing so now. And if you're looking for an agent here in San Diego to help you buy or sell your next home, my contact info is in the description below. Let's connect and make something happen for you. Now that we got that out of the way, let's dive into this. First thing to keep an eye out for is a house with an old roof. Because if you're hunting for a deal, this is one of the best red flags you can hope to find. Most buyers run from a bad roof because of the cost to replace it. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what you want to look for first, because it can give you a ton of other insights as well as leverage if you decide to go with that home. Here's the hidden opportunity. A bad roof tells more of a story about the homeowner and the home. If a homeowner hasn't been keeping up with the roof, which is an essential part of the home, it's also possible that that homeowner hasn't been keeping up with other essential parts as well. Like plumbing, if the home was built before 1970, that's when they stopped using cast iron. Possibly the electrical, and just as likely, the flooring. The homeowner may not have the financial means to do so. Maybe they're too old to know any better, or maybe they just don't care anymore. Now, if you tell me that a bad roof could mean all of these other issues are likely and you're gonna get deterred or scared, then we need to shift your mindset. Keep in mind that at every issue that a home has, it is a point of leverage in your favor. It all comes down to price. So think of every issue as a way to chip at the purchase price in your favor. So next time when you're driving through neighborhoods or looking at homes online, look at the roof. If it's curling, patchy, missing shingles, or looks like it's older than you are, don't swipe left. That might be your in. Second thing to look for, old windows. And I'm not talking about vintage charm here. I'm talking about the original thin aluminum frame, single pane, busted screen specials from decades ago. If a home still has its OG windows, that's a flashing neon sign that the homeowner hasn't invested much, if anything, in upgrades. Think about it. If they didn't swap out the windows, they probably didn't touch the HVAC system, if there is one, or the kitchen, or the bathrooms. These kind of homes are time capsules, and that's where the hidden value is. When you're looking for a deal, you want homes that need work but are structurally sound. And window replacement, that's not structural. That's a cosmetic and efficiency upgrade. It's also the kind of thing that you can live with for a bit while you work through the other projects. Investors, they love these kind of properties because they know that old windows also means that the home is probably also lacking other upgrades. If the homeowner hasn't upgraded the home in other areas, there's even more room for you to negotiate down on the price. So learn to identify old windows on a house. If they have thick frames, those are most likely updated unless they're really old wood framed windows. See if the frames look metal, if the screens are intact, or if the glass itself is in one piece. This is another sign that there is hidden opportunity for you in a home. Lastly, the third sign to look for, the front yard that looks like it gave up on life. I'm talking about dead grass, overgrown bushes, weeds in the cracks, or a sad little patch of dirt that used to be a lawn. Why does this, of all things, matter? Again, it's because it tells a story. The front yard is the first thing people see. And if a homeowner hasn't bothered to maintain that, what do you think the inside, side yards, or backyard looks like? Messy, neglected landscaping is often the clearest external sign that the rest of the home probably isn't being kept up either. And let me be clear, that's not a judgment. Sometimes it's age, sometimes it's health, sometimes it's money, or maybe it's just too much work. Either way, it's a clue. When you pair a rundown yard with the first 2 signs, a tired roof and windows, now you're cooking. That's the trifecta right there. It tells the story that this home has likely been lived in for years with minimal updates, minimal investment, and probably minimal maintenance. That's the kind of property that you can get a deal on. All right, Now that you know what to look for, let me hit the brakes for just a second because this next part might save you a ton of regret and definitely a painful amount of money. The real deal, that's when you find a home with all three signs: a worn out roof, old windows, and a neglected yard. One or two, maybe, but chasing a fixer with only one or two of these signs, that's a fast track to paying too close to retail for the headache. You need enough issues stacked together to justify the work, the risk, and the investment. Otherwise, skip it and just keep driving. Now, huge disclaimer, homes like these don't qualify for traditional financing most of the time. If the roof is shot or the electrical and plumbing are dated or there's visible damage, lenders might straight up deny the loan. And even if you find a lender who's flexible, homeowners insurance could still be a problem. A bad roof alone could be enough for most carriers to say no, thank you. So this begs the question, how do deals like this get done? Usually with private money, cash, or financing from someone who specializes in funding fixers. These deals move quickly, and that's exactly why most realtors don't send them to their average buyer. The buyers aren't ready, and the deal does not wait. So if you're serious about finding a fixer deal, the first step isn't calling your agent, it's getting your financing and insurance lined up. Otherwise, you're watching from the sidelines and wasting everybody's time. Now let's talk the math, because this is where most first-time fixer buyers mess up. Just because you're getting a home $100,000 under the market value doesn't mean you got a deal. The cost of materials, labor, permits, time, and carrying the loan, it all adds up, and it adds up faster than you'd expect. That's why it's advantageous for you to aim to 15 to 25% equity left in the property after it's fully renovated. If you talk to an investor and they say otherwise, it's because they operate off different margins, and we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole in this video. In other words, purchase price plus renovation costs equals 75 to 85% of the home's future value, AKA ARV, or after repair value. That's equity left over. That's your cushion. That's how you protect yourself from market shifts, budget surprises, or just flat out renovation fatigue. And one more thing, you're not an investor who does this all day, every day. You're not getting wholesale pricing on materials or contractor discounts. You're probably paying higher rates and learning as you go, which means you gotta be even more conservative when it comes to your purchase price, timelines, and renovation costs. My final warning, if this is your first time taking on a fixer, stay far away from foundation issues, slab or raised. Foundations are expensive, unpredictable, and often open up a can of worms. Unless you know what you're doing and have a big budget for surprises, it's not worth the risk. All right, so we covered how to find a deal and what to be wary of. Now, all we need to do now is cover how to actually get it. This is the simplest part. You go up, you knock on the front door and introduce yourself and ask the homeowner, would you be interested in selling your home? Because I'd like to move into the area. Simple as that. As you can imagine, not every house you knock on is gonna say yes. So keep in mind that this is a numbers game. Also, something I always remind my clients of, real estate is all about timing. If you knock on a door, the homeowner may not be ready to move that very moment. So be open to the idea of working with the homeowner on their timeline. And that's a wrap for this video. I wish you the very best of luck in finding your next deal. If you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will also have 2 videos that pop up in these corners for you to consider watching next. As always, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor. I'll see you next video.